Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Friday. Happy Freaky Friday to all you freaks out there. Hope your day and your week have been going very well so far. Got a new day, which of course means a new MLB Player Prop video to share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. With a new day comes some new opportunities to go ahead and make some money, and there is no better day to go ahead and make some money like Freaky Friday. That's right, guys, it's Freaky Friday, which means we, of course, have our Freaky Friday 5-leg parlay coming your way in today's video. And like we do every single week here on the channel, we are doing a little giveaway here to celebrate Freaky Friday, and the rules are very simple. All you have to do is comment Freaky down below in the comment section, and if the parlay in today's video hits, we'll give one lucky commenter who comments Freaky a free $25 Amazon gift card. It's very easy, very simple. You guys, all I have to do is comment Freaky, and like I said, if the parlay hits, one of you guys will win a free $25 Amazon gift card. So don't miss out on the opportunity. Comment Freaky down below. Before we dive into today's parlay, a quick little recap of how we did last night. And honestly, guys, it was the definition of a just fine day. We had 2 player props. We went 1-1 yesterday. I told you guys I didn't love the slate. We did hit on Jonathan Aranda, which we did end up getting for plus 100 on BetMGM, so pretty good value at 0.75 units. We did lose 0.75 units on Yanir Diaz. I did realize that after we finished recording, there were 2 Y Diaz's in that game. So if you guys picked the wrong one, the other one actually did strike out. So for those who picked, I believe it was Yandy Diaz, you actually went 2-0 last night. Unfortunately, if you actually listen to the real one, Yanir Diaz, he did not cash the over on strikeout. So 1-1 last night, so we literally didn't lose anything. We didn't win anything. Plus minus 0 units, which honestly, not that bad. I was just hoping to get out of it yesterday unscathed. I didn't love the slate or the picks, besides the 2 that I handed out in yesterday's slate. Single bet category, we're now 63-49 on the year, up 1.30 units. Again, we lost a lot of units heavy in the earlier part of the season, but overall, we have rebounded quite nicely. All right, guys, with all that out of the way, no more time to waste. Let's dive right into today's Freaky Friday 5-leg parlay. All right, guys, jumping right into the outlier screen. Our first leg of our 5-leg parlay comes from the Cardinals-Rangers game, 8:05 p.m. first pitch. We got Wyatt Langford of the Texas Rangers over half a strikeout. And spoiler alert, this will not be the only strikeout player prop in today's parlay. So Wyatt Langford over half a strikeout. We are getting this for minus 195 on DraftKings. We are using DraftKings for today's parlay. And yes, we are using alternate lines for today's parlay. When you're building a big parlay, especially one like this Freaky Friday 5-leg parlay, where you have 5 legs, you got to have some alternate lines to play a little on the safer side. Now, the great thing about alternate lines, the data is going to be very good because it's an alternate line. 9 of his last 10 games, he's cashed this over, averaging 1.2 strikeouts per game over his last 10 games. So really good numbers on a recent standpoint. Even if you want to go ahead and stretch it out to the last 20 games, still phenomenal numbers. 18 of his last 20, he's cashed the over. It's a 90% hit rate, averaging 1.2 strikeouts per game over his last 20 games. And then if you go ahead and stretch it out even further to the entire season view, now not as impressive as the 90% hit rates over the last 10 and last 20 games, still pretty solid here. 72% hit rate on the year, 34 out of 47 games. He's cashed the over, and he's averaging exactly 1 strikeout per game over the 47 games he's played this year for the Rangers. So pretty good numbers across the board here for Wyatt Langford. And look at the head-to-head numbers here as well. Pretty solid. Now, small sample size for sure. And all of them take place last year versus St. Louis. But 2 of those 3 matchups, he did cash the over, and he's averaging 1 strikeout per game against the Cardinals. We also have the insights provided by Outlier. By the way, guys, shout out to Outlier, the sponsor of today's video, and the best sports betting tool on the market. Everything you're going to see in this video and all my videos, it comes from Outlier. Check it out. We have a special link down below in the description that gives you guys a 7-day free trial to check it out for yourself. You guys, if you want to make money betting on sports, you got to have the right sports betting tool by your side. And Outlier is the best that money can buy. And like I said, we're giving you guys 7 days free, so you don't even have to pay for it off the rip. You can just go ahead and check it out, win some bets, and pays for itself ultimately. So really solid application. You can get the app on iOS. You can use the desktop version like I do. Really solid stuff here, guys. So check it out. Link down below in the description. 7-day free trial. Shout out to Outlier for sponsoring this video and all of my player prop videos here on the channel. So we have the insight provided by Outlier. Wyatt Langford has exceeded half a strikeout in 13 of his last 14 games, a 93% hit rate over his last 14, and he's averaging 1.1 strikeouts per game over his last 14 games. Again, just kind of reiterating stuff that we already previously mentioned. He's on a really good streak here of late. And looking down below the key matchup stats, Wyatt Langford versus The field in 2025, pretty good numbers in our favor. Versus left-handed pitchers, it gets even better. His batting average drops to 213. His strikeout percentage increases to 27.6%. So really good numbers there. And looking at Matthew Liberatore, it's got to be Italian. Pretty good numbers, 21.5% strikeout rate. The number does drop slightly versus right-handed batters, but that 20.8% is still high enough versus the 27.6% strikeout rate of Wyatt Langford. I think it's a pretty solid matchup. So that's our first leg of our 5-leg parlay. All right, guys, for our second leg of our 5-leg parlay, we're looking at the Athletics Blue Jays game, 7:07 p.m. first pitch. We're going Lawrence Butler of the A's. I want to say Oakland so bad, but I know they're not Oakland. Shout out to Oakland, man. Bullshit what's happening to them over the last couple of years. But Lawrence Butler over half a hit. We're grabbing this one for minus 215 over on DraftKings. It is available on multiple sportsbooks for varying odds. So if you guys don't have DraftKings, you should still be able to follow along, at least with a few of these player props for today's parlay. Again, dealing with alternate lines, the data is going to be solid. 9 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 1.4 hits per game over his last 10 games. Go ahead and stretch that out to the last 20. 14 of his last 20 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 1 hit per game over his last 20 games. Overall this year, a 71% hit rate, 37 out of 52 games. He's cashed the over, averaging 1.02 hits per game this season. From a head-to-head standpoint, also pretty solid, although again, the sample size is on the smaller side. Each of his last 4 matchups with the Toronto Blue Jays, he's cashed the over, averaging 1.5 hits per game against Toronto across the last 4 matchups. Now, 3 of those 4 came from last year, so take that with a grain of salt. They did play yesterday, though, and he did get a hit in yesterday's blowout loss for the Athletics against Toronto. We also have the insight provided by Outlier. Lawrence Butler has exceeded half a hit in 10 of his last 11 games, averaging 1.4 hits per game across the last 11 games. That is, of course, a 91% hit rate. So phenomenal numbers across the board. If we scroll down below here to the key matchup stats, Lawrence Butler versus Chris Bassett. Since 2018, 3 plate appearances. He's got 3 hits off him. So really phenomenal numbers. Yes, very small sample size, so not a ton to go off of there, but in those 3 plate appearances, 3 hits. So really good numbers there. And looking down below, Lawrence Butler having an okay year, but versus right-handed pitchers, his numbers all increased across the board by pretty good numbers there. Batting average, BA, BIP, hard hitting percentage, WRC+, they all have really solid numbers there. So good numbers for Lawrence Butler when facing off with right-handed pitchers like Chris Bassett. And looking at Bassett, not having the best of season, honestly, it does get worse when facing off with left-handed batters like Lawrence Butler. 323 batting average, 404 BA, BIP. So again, really good matchup across the board here for Lawrence Butler as the second leg of our 5-leg parlay. All right, guys, our third leg of our 5-leg parlay, moving on to the Tigers-Royals game, 8:10 p.m. first pitch. I did tell you guys we have more strikeout player props in this parlay. We're going Javier Baez of the Tigers over half a strikeout. We're grabbing this one for minus 190 odds over on DraftKings. Again, alternate line data is going to be pretty good. 8 of his last 10 games, Javi Baez has cashed the over, averaging 0.9 strikeouts per game over his last 10 games. So pretty good numbers there. So far this year, a 67% hit rate on this over. 31 out of 46 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 0.87 strikeouts per game this year. So pretty good numbers across the board here for Javi Baez with this strikeout prop. Now, unlike the last couple player props where the head-to-head data, there just wasn't a lot of it, for this one, Javi Baez versus the Royals, obviously these two teams being division rivals, we do have more head-to-head data to go off of. 7 of his last 10 matchups, including 7 consecutive matchups with the Kansas City Royals, he's cashed the over. He's averaging 0.9 strikeouts per game across the last 10 matchups with Kansas City. But again, we narrow this down 7 consecutive matchups with the Royals, he's cashed this over. He's played them 3 times so far this year, 3-0, 100% hit rate so far this season for Javi Baez against Kansas City. So pretty good track record here for us against the Royals, not so much for Javi Baez here. And looking at the insight provided by Outlier here, Javi Baez has exceeded half a strikeout in 6 straight games, averaging 1.2 strikeout per game over his last 6. So pretty good numbers across the board here for Javi Baez. Now looking down below at the key matchup stats, Javi Baez versus Seth Lugo. Lugo obviously one of the better pitchers in the American League. Now, Javi Baez actually having a pretty solid, in terms of hitting, performance against Lugo since 2018. 308 batting average off him in 14 plate appearances. So not too shabby there. However, he has struck out 4 times against Lugo. That is a 28.6% strikeout rate. So pretty good numbers there. Again, it could be a lot better. It could be a lot worse. 4 strikeouts and 14 plate appearances. We'll absolutely go ahead and take that. And honestly, if we look down below at the splits, it's a really good matchup here. Javi Baez's numbers all basically drop when facing off with right-handed pitchers like Seth Lugo. except for strikeout percentage, which increases, which obviously is favorable for us here. His strikeout percentage goes from 24.1% to 25.7% when facing off with right-handed pitchers like Lugo. Looking at Seth Lugo, his numbers also improve when facing off with right-handed batters. His strikeout percentage in particular goes from 18.9 to 20.7. So across the board, really solid matchup here. All we need is one strikeout, and he cashes his line. All right, guys, our fourth leg of our five-leg parlay. We're moving on to the Nationals Diamondbacks game, 9:40 p.m. first pitch. We're going Ketel Marte over half a hit. We're grabbing from minus 245 odds over on DraftKings. So far, this is the most juiced line of the parlay thus far, but honestly, for pretty good reason. Again, we know the data's solid. 9 straight games, he's cashed the over. He's averaging 1.3 hits per game over his last 10 games. If we do go ahead and stretch it out to the last, well, I guess not last, the entire season, last 30 games for Ketel Marte, 73% hit rate, 22 out of 30 games this year. He's cashed the over, averaging 1 hit per game this season. So pretty good numbers there. And then look at the head-to-head data, pretty solid. 6 of his last 7 matchups with the Washington Nationals, he's cashed the over. That's an 86% hit rate over their last 7 meetings, averaging 1.43 hits per game over their last 7 matchups. So really good numbers there for Ketel Marte over the last 7 games. Now, granted, only one of these 7 matchups comes from this season back on April 4th. He did match up with the Nationals. The rest of these all come from last year. But again, this year's numbers so far, parlay that with the head-to-head data that obviously most of it comes from last season. Pretty good numbers across the board here for Ketel Marte. And a really good matchup here, Ketel Marte versus Jake Irvin since 2018. 10 plate appearances, 4 hits off him. So he's batting .444 off of Jake Irvin, .889 slugging. Really good numbers there. All we need is a hit. That's all we need. And I think based off the numbers, we have a pretty good shot of that happening. Marte having a solid year hitting the baseball versus right-handed pitchers, it actually gets better. His numbers increase across the board. 309 batting average, 275 BA, BIP, 43.1% hard hitting percentage, and a 196.7 WRC plus, all versus right-handed pitchers. All of them are increases from his overall numbers. Now, he is a switch hitter, so it's, obviously he's going to play to the strength that he has. He does primarily, I would say, bat lefty here. And look at Jake Irvin versus left-handed batters. The numbers all increase there. 247 batting average allowed, 259 BA, BIP, 423 ERA. All the numbers increase when facing off with batters who hit lefty. Marte, obviously, he's had success versus Jake Irvin. He's had a lot of success versus right-handed pitchers this year. Seems to me like a really solid matchup across the board. And then last but not least, guys, our 5th and final leg in today's parlay. We're moving on to the Yankees-Dodgers game. 10:10 p.m. first pitch. Should be a pretty fun series here between the Yanks and the Dodgers. We're going DJ LeMahieu under 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. We're grabbing this one for minus 155 over on DraftKings. Not even really an alternate line. Basically a straight bet, honestly. I mean, if you're getting it for BetMGM minus 150, this is what I would consider to be a straight bet. And honestly, we're impressed with the odds we get considering the data looks like it's from an alternate line. 8 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the under, averaging 1.1 hits, runs, RBIs per game over his last 10 games. You go ahead and stretch the data out to the entire season view. He's only played 12 games this year for the Yankees, so very limited sample size for this year, but 10 out of 12 games this year, he's cashed the under. That's an 83% hit rate, averaging 1 hit, run, RBI per game this season. He's only been playing for a couple of weeks, so he's still kind of getting in the groove of things. Hopefully he keeps cold long enough to at least cash this parlay. But to be totally fair, in the 63 games he played last year for the Yankees, he had a 68% hit rate on this under. So pretty good numbers across the board, even from a head-to-head perspective. 2 of his last 3 matchups with the Dodgers, he cashed this under again. All of that coming from last season, of course. And we also have the insight provided by Outlier. DJ LeMahieu has failed to exceed 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs in 8 of his last 9 games on the road. That's an 89% hit rate over his last 9 road games, which do date back to last year as well, but most of them do come from this season. Now, very limited sample size here for DJ LeMahieu versus Tony Gonsolin. I'm hoping that's how you pronounce his name. You guys know I'm terrible with name pronunciations, but 2 plate appearances in 2018 versus Tony G. No hits, no runs, nothing against him in those 2 plate appearances. Again, very limited sample size, but nothing recorded there against him. LeMahieu so far this year batting 184 with a 44.3 WRC plus. Now versus right-handed pitchers, very small sample size, but his numbers do decrease to 158 batting average. However, his WRC plus actually increases to 71.4. So it's a little interesting, something to keep in mind there. But overall, just not having a great start to the year with the Yanks. And look at my boy Tony G here. 255 batting average allowed, 340 WOBA, 468 ERA versus right-handed batters like LeMahieu. Those numbers do all drop pretty significantly. So pretty good matchup across the board here for the 5th and final leg of today's parlay. All right, guys, those are all 5 legs in today's parlay. Quick little recap here. We got DJ LeMahieu under 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Wyatt Langford over half a strikeout. Javi Baez over half a strikeout. Ketel Marte over half a hit. And Lawrence Butler over half a hit. You parlay all 5 together over on DraftKings. You get a parlay of plus 684. So phenomenal value for our Freaky Friday 5-leg parlay. And the easiest way to go ahead and tail this, guys, the link is down below in the description. It will say link for today's picks. You click it in the description, not the pinned comment, in the description. Link for today's picks. It'll take you right to this page. And all you got to do is hit add to bet slip, continue in browser, whatever, and it takes you right to DraftKings, and boom, it's all plugged in there. You don't have to do anything else yourself. You don't have to go ahead and search for them or find them. That's all you got to do. It takes you right there and does all the work for you. So again, another cool feature of Outlier. So shout out to Outlier. All right, guys, that is it for me today. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. One more time, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. I'll be back tomorrow with another MLB Player Prop video. But until then, guys, I hope you're all winners. Enjoy your Freaky Friday. Have some freaky fun. Let's go ahead and make some money.